Morning. We are gathering for a first today, Coffee with Ken. I got my coffee. I got my buddy Ken here with me, the great and wonderful Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon, and we're just going to share thoughts for about 20 minutes. We're going to gong ourselves in at 8:30, and we are trusting you are finding us and that the broadcast is working. Look, there we are on Facebook, so that means we're on YouTube. That means it's all happening at the zoo. So give yourselves a chance to settle in, get a nice comfy spot. We're going to go 20 minutes, beginning gong ourselves in right at 8:30, and away we go. There's the Reverend Dr. Deb Gordon in the background. Wave, there she is. There we go. The gang is all here. Oh, Honolulu is here. Hi, Ann from Honolulu. Ann Murata from Honolulu is with us. Aloha. Tricia Klink. Good morning from Hollywood, beautiful, glamorous Hollywood. All right, the troops are gathering. We're going to gong ourselves in. We got the gong, we got everything. All right, everybody get ready to take a nice, big, deep breath. We're going to take a holy breath. And what's going to make it holy is we are going to be conscious of it. That's what's going to happen. So here we're getting ready to roll. If you're checking in, let us know where you are. We're glad you're here. And we have a theme this morning called Joy is an Inside Job. What a concept, eh? Okay. Good morning, Loretta from Boise. Nice to see you this morning. Okay. There it is. Here we go. Well, I'm watching the clock. We'll wait officially since it's on digital time. It'll know exactly what time. Good morning from Oklahoma, Marguerite. Nice to see you this morning. All right, we got all the gang is checking in. We're sorry we missed you last week, but we're back. Yep, there it is. Okay, let's everybody take a deep breath in. Let out the sound ah. Now relax your shoulders. Remember that we are creating a vibration. That vibration is returning back to us through the sum total of our awareness, of our consciousness. One more big deep breath in. Good morning from Santa Rosa, Pam. Nice to see you this morning. Bring the energy up into your heart center. And just allow yourself permission to be here for this 20 minutes. On Coffee with Ken. It's the first time we've done a remote on Coffee with Casper, and it works out well that we have a Ken. We get to stay with the C sounds. K, C, C, and K sounds. Okay.
Carrie.
So, go ahead. So this is my buddy, lean in, Ken, so they can see. This is my buddy, the Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon, longtime spiritual leader, powerful wisdom sharer, and we're just delighted that he's here to join us. And so we have to go this way to get both. Yeah, there we go. He's here to join us to share this morning. And this is where I was going thematically with it. There's a wonderful quote from the philosopher Ernest Holmes, who says that the teaching that we're involved in is a correlation of the laws of science, the opinions of philosophy, and the revelations of religion, as applied to human need and the aspirations of humankind. So I think it's a wonderfully great thing that we've evolved, you and everybody here on Coffee with Casper, has evolved far enough to recognize the unity of all life, to recognize that there are spiritual principles, both spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, and to use all of it, to use everything that we know in order to transcend the chaos of the surface as humanity is evolving. And I have great faith that humanity is evolving. And unfortunately, we made such a mess for so long that as the greater awareness breaks through, it's going to bring all of that miscreation to the surface to be actually dissipated and returned to the light. So one of the reasons I thought it'd be so great to have Ken here to share is that once we become a metaphysician, meaning we start looking at things from the beginning with spirit first. We often say we came from the light, we put on a coat of skins, we'll return to the light. But that's because we are aware of who we really are as eternal spiritual beings in the one, as the one, and with the one. And when you start to live from that perspective, you begin to transcend the chaos of the world, and something beautiful starts to emerge. And that is the presence of joy almost all the time. And it's like Tehillah de Jarjan said, joy is the infallible sign of the presence of God, right? So I'm going to give Ken opportunity to share his experience of living from the inside out and what he knows, and then I'll come back in and color, and you make your, hey, good morning from Arizona. It's the Reverend Angelica Jane Taggart. Oh, Dr. Michael McMorrow has joined us as well. Nice to see you all this morning. So, Ken, what do you think about living from the inside out?
Well, I'll move over here. My experience of living from the inside out is more based on living from the outside in, which is when I do that, what I find is that my life immediately fills with all kinds of neuroses, with all kinds of frictions, and gets very, very complicated and uncomfortable. But I do know that when I do live in that spirit of rejoicing, when I live in that spirit of joy, that what happens is everything begins to be attracted and drawn to me that fills that need. So the practice for me is to practice living in the moment and recognizing that life is supremely and infinitely beautiful. We're sitting here in San Diego right now at Harry's condo, but I look around, and if I put my attention on it, what I find is that 99.9% of this world is filled with the beauty and filled with the excuse, if you might put it that way, to rejoice, to have that sense of joy in everything you do. I was sitting out there on the deck drinking my coffee this morning, just watching the people walk by, and by being in that present moment, realize that so much is beauty that's out there. And all it takes for me to be able to receive that, and I believe for you to be able to receive it, is to look for it as opposed to fall into that matote, that fog that has a tendency to fill us up with that anguish that life seems to have, and that Harry talked about just a moment ago.
Yeah, and so, what we realize is that the world, the outer world, particularly if you're reading newspapers or involved with the media, is constantly pointing out that which isn't working. Yet, as Ken just said, if you open your eyes, if you look up and open your eyes, what you see is omnipresent beauty. And when you become conscious of it and acknowledge it, that's why our friend Oprah Winfrey always talks about the importance of gratitude. When you begin to commune with it, when you begin to realize that spirit itself, that's the nature of your being, of the light that you came from, is revealing to you beauty and joy and its transcendence all the time. But when we take our attention off the ball and look at the mess of the world, we start worrying and wondering and what's going to happen, and we get in, as Ken said, into that repeated neuroses. And so this is the key. The teaching is love and law, right?
Right.
So let's talk a little bit of, Ken, you talk a little bit about love and what that's all about.
Well, love is the primary essence of life. It's the truth of who we are. And like any time that we don't achieve who we are, we feel restrained and restricted. Well, love is the constant that we have in our lives. And I'm not talking about eros or even fraternal. Probably agape would be the closest, although I think there's something even deeper than that. But love itself is the very foundation of who we are. We know that by simply knowing that which we consider to be the infinite intelligence of life, or God, give it any name that you want, call it whatever you like. However, when that thing itself, as Holmes talks about, the thing itself is love. It's got to be love, because anything that is unlike love, because it's infinite, would be self-destructive. So therefore, love is the only thing that can maintain and sustain. And so when we talk about love and joy, it's about appreciating and understanding not only that it exists within us, but the way to do that is to see it mirrored in the world outside of us. So that what we can do is we can look at the world through those eyes of that indefinable bliss that love brings us. And when we take the moment to do that, everything else falls into place. trained thought is more powerful than untrained thought. So it becomes a discipline. Untrained thought just falls into our brain, falls into our mind. We watch the television and curse and kick the cat, whatever. But when we find ourselves in that situation where we're intentionally looking for the goodness and the greatness, it's everywhere, so it's easy to see. And then what occurs is that it fills us and fulfills us in that activity because it's who we are.
Yes, amen. So I want to say hi to Dave joined us, and Daz joined us, and Pam joined us from Santa Rosa and North Hollywood. We've got so many light workers here. And so this idea of love and then the correspondence, which is law, it's where if I begin to dwell and touch base, it's why Ernest Holmes said so beautifully, daily we meditate. And then as I have often said here on Coffee with Casper, daily we meditate in order to breathe in the presence, in order to remember that, as St. Augustine said, God loves each of us as if there's only one of us. And to touch base with that love through the silence of your holy breath, to actually take a moment, so let's do it right now, let's just take a moment and take in a big deep breath. And we're going to name that a holy breath. And what is making it a holy breath is we brought our conscious awareness to it, right? And so this is the key. When we begin to use all of the things that we've learned as metaphysicians, as people who recognize the unity of all life, that we begin to use it not just as a fallback position when the waves get rough, but to use it as the springboard from which we're launching a new day, right? And I think that's so important that we establish the consciousness of our day, as I always say, before you get out of bed. Before you get out of bed, take the time to center yourself and know who and what you are, and then invite that into your day, but also into your awareness, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. St. Paul said that we should pray without ceasing, which is just another way of what Holmes is talking about. We should meditate daily, but we should meditate constantly. Our every breath should be a meditation. At least that's the goal. And I know that it's hard to achieve. I certainly don't do it. I try, but the mere fact that I try fills my life with that sense of joy. When I don't try, I become a curmudgeon so quickly that I can't believe it. I fall back into an old behavior pattern of unconscious neuroses, like I said earlier. And the issue behind that is that it's necessary to create a discipline and a time for us to be able to do it. And Harry talks about before you get out of bed. That's one way to do it, and he's quite right. That's a good way to do it. But why not when you're walking down the street, or why not when you're with your partner, or that one that you love so much, or why not when you're looking at the sky? And how about this? Why not when you're watching the news? Why not when you're reading the newspaper? Why not when you see conflict coming? Why not when you're in anguish? These are all the good opportunities to be able to do it. It's better than any sedative you can imagine. If you are feeling anxious, to be able to sit down and bring your thoughts to the beauty of life and allow yourself to witness it. And what happens is it calms, it sedates, and it fulfills.
Yeah, and then it opens your awareness, right?
Yeah,
and then
well,
you become,
it's a practice.
Right, yeah. Because that's the whole key. Ken and I were talking just yesterday, is that people have this idea that to be spiritual means you need to put on silk robes and sit in the lotus position and om yourself away. And being spiritual, you're already 100% spiritual. So it's bringing your awareness to who and what you are. It's bringing your awareness that you are the lotus flower unfolding as the divine itself. And everybody is that. Now, as we know, as light workers in the world, not everybody knows that. But that's why we make a difference. You make a difference in your world by living from the inside out, by breathing it in, by calling it into your life, by opening your awareness. And this is how the world is changing. As more and more light workers begin to shine their light in the ordinary, everyday ways of living. Yeah?
Yeah. You know, there's no question about it. And everybody here knows what it's like to be with a joyful person, how that transforms the way you're thinking or your life, that it brings the lightness back into it again. And that's what Harry's talking about. When we do that, it might not seem like there's any big reward for outside coming in, but you really are transforming the world by doing it. By smiling, by giving a thanks, by demonstrating your gratefulness, by enjoying life. And it's so counter to what we have been taught throughout our life. Joy is the biggest expression that heals everybody else in the world as well. So we have the opportunity, as Harry says, as light workers, we have the opportunity to be able to exercise that all the time.
Yeah,
Not just when you're giving a service, not just when you're called upon to do it, but just by the very demeanor of who you are and how you activate and how you act. I like looking at you better than looking at the camera. Just saying.
So you know, the Dalai Lama, and we've talked about this before, the Dalai Lama has this wonderful idea. Now, we know he's a devout Tibetan monk Buddhist, but when you ask him what his religion is, he says his religion is kindness, right? So the way that we can really spread this in the world is by being in touch with it, as we already said, by grounding ourselves every day, by courting that presence, by courting the divine itself so that we feel it, not just that it's a head idea, that we actually feel it. And then when we actually feel it, you can't give that feeling to somebody else, but you can share the joy that's in you, the kindness that's in you, your willingness to honor that each and every soul, regardless of race, color, creed, color, background, it doesn't, ways of being, it makes no difference. We can see the Christ, the Atman, the Buddha, the high self of each and every soul, even though their own awareness may not have yet put them on the path. But when we do that, we're helping shift whoever touches the arena of our experience. And it doesn't matter how big that arena is, right?
No, it doesn't matter at all. Because there's only one thing happening. And when you're joyful, you fill the world with joy. And that's the key, is to remember that, to practice it for the benefit of yourself and for the benefit of everyone around you.
So, what do we do here on Coffee with Casper? We're not walking on water. Nobody's claiming to walk on the water. We may have wonderful little miracles in our own world that we see every day, and hopefully we give gratitude to them. But what we are doing is trying to bring the reality of our spiritual nature, the reality of our call, and I believe everybody who listens to Coffee with Casper, simply because of the law of vibration, right? Whatever it is that we're vibrating close enough to understand each other, to communicate with each other, and to call each other up, and to encourage each other as we take the wisdom that we have gained this far in our journey and actually apply it to an awakening world.
Amen.
So that's what what do you do on your daily basis? Now you've been all those years as a spiritual leader, all those years with a calendar full, and now you're in a space where you can bring your wisdom in a different way.
Yes.
Right. And so how are you finding that?
First off, I'm enjoying it, but
that's a good start.
Yeah, enjoy. But I find that I had to get over the hurdle of thinking I had to do something in order to achieve it, instead of just be it and start achieving it through that activity and that action. So with Deborah and I in retirement, basically after 30 some odd years of practicing and applying and teaching this to other people, I suddenly found myself having to learn it myself all over again in a new way, in a different way, to take it and internalize it for my own being, as opposed to trying to teach someone else to do it and through that learning myself. I hope that makes sense. it took a changing of gears to make that happen. And there was a couple of months that I would sit there and I would think, oh, I don't like this. You know, my New Year's resolution this year, not that I have resolutions, but my intention was to stop complaining, because I found myself complaining all the time. And if that's a sure sign that there's something wrong. It's as bad as not being able to walk because you broke your leg. And so I determined that this year I am not going to complain. Now, 2025 is another year, so we'll see what happens. But this year, my intention is to stop complaining. So people ask me stuff, and I tell them, and I consciously try not to fall into the overly critical complaining way of doing it. And the amazing thing is today's what, the 29th?
Yeah, 30th today.
30th. So for 30 days, I practiced it, and I am far more joyful than I was December 31st when I was still complaining.
That's so wonderful. You're watching Coffee with Casper. I'm Harry Morgan Moses. You're here with the Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon and myself, and we have had a wonderful time sharing with you. If you've found anything valuable in this video, what we like you to do is share it. Share it on LinkedIn, share it on Facebook, share it on YouTube, share it anywhere you can. And let's keep gathering light workers. Let's keep empowering one another. And let's keep building a world that works for everyone. Who you are is something magnificent. You are the light itself. We are very grateful that you're here. We're very grateful you're sharing your energy in the world. And together we are truly making a difference in an awakening world. So until we meet again, we invite you to go in the light, as the light, and with the light. May the long-time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on your way. We'll be back next week with Coffee with Casper. We are certainly honored to have been here with Coffee with Ken, and have a great and wonderful, powerful, and transformative week.
Know you're loved and honored.
Bye for now. See you later. Casper's at home. I hope Tricia is showing him the video. Okay, bye for now.